Notice to the public, if you wish to address the council, please complete the public wish to address the council form located on either end of the counter. Give it to either the chairman or council clerk prior to beginning the meeting. All public comments must be addressed to the council as a whole. Addressing individual council members or staff is not allowed. Speakers should be courteous in their choice of words or actions, and comments shall be limited to the issue and cannot involve individuals or staff-related matters. All cell phones and electronic devices used for communication should be silenced for the duration of the meeting. I'd like to call the meeting of the Community Development and Planning Committee to order on November 28, 5:30 p.m. We'll have an invocation and a pledge of allegiance by Councilwoman Jessica Domingue. Please rise.
Loving and gracious God, help us keep the common good before us with our gifts of wisdom, courage, and respect for the views of others. Strengthen us to continue the work with our leaders, seeking an ever most just society that acts in harmony and interdependence with all creation. In the name of Jesus, in union with your Spirit, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I have a roll call, Ms. Branding?
Mr. Babin? Here. Mr. Dirk Guidry? Here. Mr. Trosclair?
Here.
Mr. Harding? Mr. Michel?
Here.
Mr. Amity?
Here.
Ms. Domingue?
Here.
Mr. Darren Guidry?
Here.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum present.
Thank you, ma'am. Item 1 is a presentation by the Housing and Human Services Department regarding an annual report on the Head Start programs 2022 and 2022 and 2023 school years. Could you state your name and address, please?
My name is Diane Powell. I'm the Head Start Administrator. I live at 614 Gaynell Drive in Houma. I'm going to report on this fiscal year, 22. I'm required to do so annually and then also give you some other information. So for fiscal year 2022, Terrebonne Parish government received $1,538,905 from the Administration for Children and Families. $1,519,427 was program funds, and $19,478 was allocated for training and technical assistance. Parish government's required, well, the grantee happens to be the parish government, is required to match 20%. So the match would have been $384,726.25. But you guys are cool and allocated $490,785 for Head Start. Thank you. During the 22 fiscal year, Head Start received $44,643 for cost of living allowance, which toward the 4% that was granted. The Community Development Block Grant gave Head Start $20,000, which mostly went for rental and food costs. Number 2 talks about our school readiness goals. We have each year the requirement to have goals for the children and staff. And what our plan is each year, we have 3 checkpoints. We monitor the children's development, and we use the first checkpoint to decide which goals we want to work on. Maybe there's some that the children aren't meeting yet and should be. So we've started that, and that is I put on the website for anybody to look at. These goals and objectives are developed by staff, parents, the policy council, and usually you guys are invited to if you want to come and participate. Normally, we're funded for 170 children, but because I have 2 centers or 5 classrooms that are closed, currently I'm at 85 children. Last school year, we served 158, COVID, and then also post-storm. Number 4, disabilities. We're required to serve at least 10% of our population who have diagnosed disabilities. So during this last school year, we served 18.6%, and currently we're serving 21.1%. So we're well above our requirement. Number 5, the Head Start program is a sponsor of the Child and Adult Food Care Program, and we receive reimbursement, just like school lunch, from the USDA and the Department of Education. Through October, we've received $48,584.60 from the Department of Ed. The total food costs were $95,780.60. The total meals served through October: breakfast, we served 7,098 meals. Lunch was 6,909 meals. And for the afternoon snack, we served 5,815 meals. We're still sponsored by the senior class of Vanderbilt Catholic High School for Christmas. If you guys want to come out, they are going to do their Christmas Wonderland on Friday at Vanderbilt from 10 to 12. I'd love to have y'all come see what they do. The senior class does fundraisers to raise the money themselves to sponsor the kids. It's really kind of nice. It's part of their senior project for their religion class. And then the last bullet I have here is the Terrebonne Foundation for Academic Excellence continues to fund the costs for the books through the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. So as soon as we have a child enroll, we enroll them, and they receive books until they're 5 years old, once a month. It's kind of nice. And then the next section you guys have is the bylaws and the impasse policy, and just regular, your fiduciary duty, which I don't think I need to train you on, but Head Start makes me talk about it, and I appreciate your time.
Mr. Amity?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You mentioned some facilities being down. Is that storm-damaged facilities?
Yes, sir.
How are the repairs coming with that?
Church Street is ready to go. I'm just waiting for the fire marshal. I need a new fire alarm system. The one that I had was pretty old. Senator Circle, we're not able to use, but we did have 3 lots donated from the Parkwood subdivision, and my supervisor and another group of people and I are working on purchasing a portable classroom for 2 classrooms, which would be open, I hope for the fall, August, but I might be dreaming. And then I'll have to work on finding another facility or a way to add to build back up for a 3rd classroom. So I'm almost there.
Good. Anything we can do to help, let us know.
I will. Thank you.
Mr. Babin?
Yeah, when you just said portable classroom, and maybe I'm speaking out of turn because I'm not on the school board, but Mulberry School has been added on too, and there's probably 20 to 25 portable classrooms
Yes,
at
sir.
Mulberry School. If you haven't opened a dialogue with the school board and something like that, that might be a good way of getting something.
It is, and I have discussed it
Good.
with the previous administration and Mr. Angeron.
Okay.
So the problem is they don't really fit for me.
Oh, okay.
But great.
Yeah,
'Cause I
'cause
thought it
there's
too.
every bit of 20 of them there.
Oh, yes, they're everywhere.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Ms. Powell, one question. Y'all serve roughly 14,000 meals between breakfast and lunch, another just under 6,000 snacks. That was for these 21% that you're feeding of the disabled, or that was
That's
more-
total.
Total,
All my kids, yes,
all
sir.
your kids, okay.
And you see, it's weird that like snack is so low. It's because parents pick them up early.
Right, then that was gonna be my next question. I figured that was the deal.
They get
Okay.
home before the yellow school bus comes with the big kids.
Yeah.
So,
You see that a lot. There's more parents bringing and picking up kids in schools now than they've ever had. I mean,
oh, yes, sir.
you could almost do away with some of the buses.
I think so, but
All right. Well, thanks a lot, and I appreciate
sir.
everything y'all do. Thanks a
thank
lot.
you.
Moving on, item 2 is authorizing the parish president to sign and submit the 2022 Community Development Block Grant and Home Investment Partnerships Program grant agreements to United States Department of Housing and Urban Development. Move Mr. Amity, second Mr. Dirk Gidry. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Resolution carries. Item 3 is a resolution authorizing assignment and assumption of loan documents by and among Terrebonne Elderly Housing Limited Partnership, New Bonterre Village 1 LLC, and the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government.
So move.
Move Mr. Amity, second Mr. Darren Gidry. See a light, Mr. Harding.
I see Miss Cunningham out there. I think she has someone with her to explain a little further about this particular program. There were a couple of questions that we had to clear up, so we're just going to put it all out there so we won't have any misunderstanding.
Okay, Kelly Cunningham, Director of Housing and Human Services for Terrebonne Parish Government. With me is Chris Clement with HRI, and he can answer any questions you guys may have about the loan documents.
Any questions? You okay? Yeah.
Jerry, I hear you. Are you trying to say something? No. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Chris Clement at HRI Communities, development firm based out of New Orleans. We are the developer, current owner of the Bon Terre Village 1 Apartments property at 7614 Main Street. That project was built in 1996 and has been operated with almost full occupancy, 51 units, full senior affordable housing since its opening in 1996. Associated with its original development was a home loan made by TPCG. I think it was using Hurricane Andrew disaster funds of the original principal of $1.3 million. We have now secured a allocation of low-income housing tax credits to take that property that is now 22 years old and invest about $6 million into renovating the property, reskinning it, new windows, new appliances, fits, finishes, everything on the interior. It will be maintained as 51 affordable senior housing units, and associated with that, refinancing, redevelopment, rehabilitation requires the assignment of the existing home loan dating back to 1996. So when this refinancing occurs, that loan will be assigned and assumed by the new partnership performing the renovation.
Thank you. We have one light, Mr. Amity.
I just want to thank you guys for paying attention to the building and making sure that it stays up and operational. So many times we see these buildings start to fall in disrepair and they get behind themselves and it's harder for them to catch up. But it seems like you guys are being proactive in what you're doing and getting that building taken care of and maintaining it for our seniors. So kudos to you guys. Thanks.
Thank you. Our interests are obviously aligned here. It's been a great property. We enjoy being a participant in the homeless community, and we don't develop properties and then sell them off. We develop them, own them, manage them, and keep them up as we're trying to do in this case. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Harding, you done? Okay. See no further lights. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposition? Motion carries. Item 4, introduce an ordinance authorizing the parish president to execute a right of use between Terrebonne TPCG and Claude Luke Jr. and Pauline Luke for the property that bears a municipal address of 110 Indigo Street, Dulac, Louisiana, 70353. Call a public hearing on said matter Wednesday, December 14, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. Move Mr. Danny Babin, second Ms. Jessica Dormang. All in favor? Any opposition? Motion carries. Item 5 is an ordinance to introduce an ordinance authorizing the parish president to execute a right of use agreement between TPCG and Virgin Beach and James Beach for the property that bears a municipal address of 214 Bayou Gardens Drive, Houma, Louisiana, 70364, and call a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, December 14, 2022 at 6:30 p.m.
So move.
Move Mr. Amity, second Mr. Dirk Gidry. All in favor? Any opposition? Motion carries. Item 6, an ordinance authorizing the parish president to execute a right of use agreement between TPCG and Alvin and Beverly Billiot for the property that bears a municipal address of 7326 Shrimpers Road, Dulac, Louisiana, 70353. And call a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, December 14, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. Move Mr. Danny Babin, second Ms. Jessica Domang. All in favor? Any opposition? Motion carries. Motion adjourned, Mr. Dirk Gidry, second Mr. Amity. All in favor? Any get opposed? Thank you, gentlemen. We are adjourned.
Notice the public, if you wish to address the council, please complete a public wishing to address the council form located on either end of the counter or give it to the council clerk, council chairman or council clerk prior to the beginning of the meeting. All public comments must be addressed to the council as a whole, addressing individual council members. All staff is not allowed. Speakers should be courteous in their choice of words, and actions and comments shall be limited to the issues and cannot involve individuals or staff-related matters. Also, all cell phones and electronic devices and communication should be silenced for the duration of the meeting. And I'll now call the Budget and Finance Committee meeting to order. We'll do the invocation and the pledge. Heavenly Father, this great day you provided for us today, oh God, it's a day that we've never seen before and we will never see again. Oh God, we ask that the blessings come down from on high through your darling Son, Jesus, who left the Comforter, the Holy Spirit, to endow us with wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, that we make wise decisions, that without the decisions of ourselves, but in those decisions that are through the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding up here. And may we look at this parish as a whole and look at the affairs of those people and the business that we take care here. We have everyone's interest in mind. In your darling Son, Jesus' name, I pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Brandt, could we have a roll call?
Mr. Babin?
Here.
Mr. Dirk Gidry?
Here.
Mr. Trusclair?
Here.
Mr. Harding?
Here.
Mr. Michaud?
Here.
Mr. Amity?
Here.
Ms. Domingue?
Here.
Mr. Darren Gidry?
Here.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum present.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Item number 1, motion to discuss the update status of the Buquet Bridge in Dulac, Louisiana, and or any other Hurricane Ida related matters. Ms. Malden, Mr. Babin.
I was just going to say that I put this on the agenda because I think they have some updates on it, and there's a few other things I'd like to talk about that the Buquet Bridge relates to. So if you could give us an update.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So as we all know, Buquet Bridge was damaged as a result of Hurricane Ida and the large vessel that was striking it. The bridge is damaged and it's inoperable, so the vertical lift span is in the raised position for the boat traffic to pass. We have provided a determination regarding the insurance of the vessel, and we have determined that there's no further claim relevant to the event being an act of God. So because of this, we're moving forward with a FEMA reimbursement for repairs and or replacements. So immediately following the hurricane, a preliminary damage assessment was performed by LADOTD on the FEMA damage cost estimate forms. And then following that, TPCG procured Huval engineers to evaluate the damages and to perform that complete detailed damage and cost estimate. The cost estimate has revealed that the cost to repair the bridge is over 50% of the cost to replace it. So the repair cost to code of damaged elements and related equipment is about $7.4 million. The replacement cost to codes and standards is about $14 million. So Huval has given us some preliminary estimates for some schedules. So if we would go with repairing it, it would be 3 to 4 years. Replacing it would be 4 to 6 years. Because of this schedule, we did try to look at the possibilities of doing a temporary bridge solution. We had to abandon this effort for a couple reasons. One was FEMA would not reimburse us for this. The cost would be about 10 to 12 million. The emergency measures for cost reasonableness is not valid due to the proximity to another bridge. And then also, it was going to take 2 years to construct the temporary bridge. So you're halfway to the point of having it replaced or halfway to the point of having it repaired. So we've kind of nixed that solution. So we're going with the solution of having FEMA reimburse us to have the bridge replaced. So we have done a full damage assessment and cost analysis. We've prepared and submitted this to FEMA. The 50% rule prepared for FEMA submission has been submitted. FEMA will provide a full replacement of a facility to current codes and standards if the repair to code exceeds that 50%. So we're beyond that 50%, so that's why FEMA will go ahead and reimburse us to replace it. We have some cost analysis that are in progress, and we have regular meetings being held with both FEMA, the site inspector, and our project manager with FEMA to provide all of those required documentations and clarifications on the Buquet Bridge.
Yes, Mr. Babin.
Okay, so we talking 4 to 6 years of construction, or 4 to 6 years from now, still waiting on FEMA to say, go ahead with it? I mean, we hadn't even started doing engineering drawings on it yet.
Right. It would be 4 to 6 years for replacement if we can get those answers and start that process within the next couple of months.
Okay, because constantly, I'll bring it up all the time, because constantly I'm getting calls on it, and Mike knows, and so does David. And as early as this afternoon, I just want to put this on the record, but we're doing a good job. I'm not saying that. But what the main thing is down there is Shrimpers Row, the 4 miles between the Combo Bridge and the Buquet Bridge is a narrow road to start off with. Now all of the 18-wheelers have to travel down that road. And when you come off the Combo Bridge, about maybe a quarter of a mile is what we call by a Guillaume Bridge. It's not really a bridge. It's a culvert. And the culvert, David and them had ordered the new culverts for it, and they came in a week or two before Hurricane Ida. There's no way to shut that road down now to fix that, to replace the culverts. So all I'm saying is it needs to be maintained right now. I happened to talk to Mr. Rome just a minute ago, and he's going to look into that, because the road now is getting dangerous on the shoulders. Because what's happening is all the big trucks, seafood industry, they can't ride the middle of the road because the road is narrow. So when they pass in each other, it's actually breaking up the asphalt on the side of the road, and you have not much of a shoulder to start off with. So all of these things, I'm sure Public Works under Mr. Rome is going to address all these things, especially if we're going to be out 4 to 6 more years. We have to maintain that road, and there is a section, the 7,000 block, that floods quite often. It'll flood in the springtime. So in any event, I appreciate your explanation, Candace, and I know it's all about money, and I've asked this question before, but I'll ask it again. There's no way for us to go out now and just get it started. We pay for it and FEMA reimburse.
No, sir.
Okay, I just had to ask.
It's a risk that we wouldn't get reimbursed.
Correct. And we're talking $14 million.
Correct.
The bad thing is the 4 to 6 years. That's really a strain. That's going to be a strain on Shrimpers Row and the people that live down there. Thank you, Candace.
Thank you.
Mr. Trusclair.
Yeah, Danny, I can relate to your situation on there. I got the same thing actually happening in Berg right now with the Berg Bridge being built or replaced. Country Drive is a very narrow, similar road to the Shrimpers Road road, substandard for the travel, the traffic that's on it. And, 4 to 6 years to me seems like a long time to build a bridge. Very few government contracts ever come in on schedule anyway. So this 4 to 6 years may be 6 to 7 years. You can't see the future. I just don't know if there's any way, when you do this, to see if there's anything they can do to expedite this, because, when the state started the Berg Bridge project, the parish wasn't really involved in any of the discussion prior to shutting it down and tearing it apart. And I would suggest that you try to get involved, or the parish get involved with DOTD before they ever start this bridge, and do the provisions of sign. I mean, we were fighting signages, and I even passed an ordinance to make Country Drive a no truck zone to keep the trucks off, which it's actually zone no trucks, they're illegal, 18-wheelers are illegal, but they still run and nobody stops them. So, and I can guarantee you, because you can ride on Country Drive, if you haven't, you can see how the shoulders are actually, the road's edge is breaking as it goes. And the bad part about it, you can't go out there and maintain it and fix it like it needs to be fixed because you can't shut the road down. So it's a catch-22. The parish, we can't get in there and make the proper repairs that'll hold up. The best thing you can do is go out and put, and now I gotta commend David and Roads and Bridges. They really do their best, but in the rainy season, I mean, you can go out there and grade it and add rocks every day, and it's a moot point, because the next day, your ruts and the new rocks and everything's gone, and you're back where you started. I'm surprised that we haven't had any major accidents with people overcorrecting, going off the road in some of these ruts and overcorrecting and hitting somebody head on. The road that normally has very little traffic on it, now it's continual traffic, so the odds, if you do have a mishap, the odds are you'll be meeting somebody rather than not meeting somebody. And the road being so narrow, I mean, I already had the mirror taken off my truck, from a boat trailer. So, I know, I've lived in it, but, at least try to get involved with DOTD before they start the project and make sure that y'all dot every I, cross every T, because we got thrown into it at the last minute. And actually, I think we had to call the meeting to even have a meeting with DOTD. So, just my recommendations and on the way you at.
Mr. Babbitt?
Yeah, point well taken, but this is a parish bridge, okay? She used DOTD because they had an evaluation team that could go in, the parish evaluated, and then Hooval, who's the guru on the bridge, is evaluated. But your point is well taken, yes. Dirk's gonna have the same problem with the Robinson Canal Bridge down there. It's a one-lane bridge as it states right now. The main reason I even want to bring this up tonight is to find out exactly. We're talking 4 to 6 years now, okay, at best. And the road is going to have to be maintained almost monthly to keep it up, because it is going to start deteriorating. Maybe I'm stretching it out when I say monthly, okay? But if they can get the Bayou fixed up, because remember, there's only 2 ways out of Lower Grand Kaya on that side. That's the pontoon bridge at Falgout Canal to go across, which goes out quite often, and then this and the Bayou Bridge. If in fact that would go out, the culvert would break, whatever. People are literally trapped down there. So that's why it's not just because it's in District 7, but that's what I represent, and it needs to be maintained a lot more. So thank you for what you have, Candace.
Mr. Dirk Guidry.
Yeah, I feel for both of you guys, because I've been through both of those areas. I've been on Shrimpers Road. I've been on Country Drive. Country Drive's a mess. The only thing, Danny, I know with the southeast winds that's going to start blowing in May, that there should be some way that the parish could come and put limestone over that road, because I've seen it done at Crochettville, where they've elevated that road with limestone until they had an opportunity to go and blacktop it, And the deal with Country Drive, Steve, under Michel Claudet's administration, 2 years prior, that we knew that they was coming to build a new bridge in Berg, Mr. Claudet put in to have the country road widen that road. But with DOTD, it seems like it always falls on deaf ears. So, but I know we tried getting something done with that, but the state wouldn't come and put the money up to widen Country Drive. So, but, like I said, for your situation, Danny, the low spots in that road, because it's going to get bad, because in May, we all know how the southeast winds blows and the roads flood. There should be a way that we could get limestone to elevate the lowest parts of that road. So, because you got to understand where on Shrimpers Road, when the water floods on the roads, the mail stops. The mail won't even deliver there. So, I mean, that hurts that whole area there. So, I mean, there got to be a way, for Candace to dig in her money bag somewhere to find some money to put some limestone on that road, because it helps us anyway, because after the Bouquet Bridge is repaired or whatever, we could go back and blacktop that road, and it solves the problem still of that road flooding. So it's not money going to waste by putting these rocks in the roads, because we could always come back and blacktop this road after. So thank y'all.
Mr. Tresclair.
Yeah, just to add on, Dirk, President Dove and myself actually talked to the state, the hard surface the shoulders before they started, and they refused to do it again. So they dealing with the state is kind of crazy. But thanks a lot.
Mr. Babbitt.
Yeah, last time, we can't get the state to cut grass, so we know we're not gonna get them to do something like that, okay? I mean, it's been over a year that Buy Black and 182's been cut on the shoulder. I called again today, which is a weekly call to them to at least get it done. Now, the seriousness of Shrimpers Row, I just worry about, and Dirk brought up a good point. Anybody that gets their medicines through the mail, if the mail is not gonna run because the road is flooded, then those people are in jeopardy for getting their medicine, okay? And again, I'm not trying to make it a dire situation, because there is another way out of over the pontoon bridge. But that bridge goes out periodically, and it seems to be going out a little bit more all the time. And not for lack of maintenance, it's taken care of. It's just the operation of that bridge causes it to fail. So in any event, whatever we can do as an administration to expedite this and to maintain Shrimpers Row on a, as Steve said, maybe a weekly basis, I would definitely, and I know the people of the district would definitely appreciate it. Thanks.
Yes, and actually that was a discussion in reference to the motion to discuss it, but then everyone was already in favor of that. So item number 2, consider approval to the co-sponsorship request the 12th annual Mary Kappa Alpha Phi Holiday Festival on Saturday, December 17, 2022, from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. at the Barry P. Bonvillain Civic Center parking lot. Moved by Ms. Domain, second by Mr. Who was that? Tresclair. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Item number 3, resolution to approve the 2022 financial balance budget and the 2023 budget plan and submit by the Terrebonne Parish Veterans Memorial District.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Goodrich, second by Ms. Doman. Any discussion? All in favor? Those are opposed? Motion carried. I would like to take item number 4 and pass it over to Mr. Amadi.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item 4 is a resolution supporting the use of the Terrebonne Elderly and Disabled Millage for an elderly program in Gray and Gibson to be operated by Gulf Coast Teaching Family Services.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Trosclair, second by Ms. Domain. I'm taking it, Mr. Chair, you want to talk on something?
And in reference to this program, and I would like to call up Miss Wesley Brown and give a little conversation in reference to, I think you all have that was submitted in this particular package. And this would be a package that would be sent to COA and under consideration, the courtesy we have, and she's going to tell you about the program.
Ms. Brown, please state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. My name is Nicole Wesley Brown. My address is 103 Terrio Lane, Thibodaux, Louisiana. I'm the Regional Director of Gulf Coast Teaching Family Services, doing business as Gulf Coast Social Services. The senior program that we currently have, as I spoke with you all last week, is currently active in the Mechanicville community in the Memorial Community Center. What Councilman Hardin and I have discussed and what I submitted a proposal is for a pilot of the same in Gray and the Gibson communities. One of the ways that we thought about where we could save some costs is using the same staff that we would use at both locations. So on 3 days a week have in Gray and 2 days a week proposed in Gibson. This would save costs, and it would provide a great pilot to give an idea to see how many people would be interested, seniors. Currently, the program says eligibility is 60 years of age, minimum 60 years of age, and a Terrebonne Parish resident. That would still remain true, which would include anyone within the parish who would be willing to come to the locations. The 2 communities we're talking about do not have immediate access to senior facilities, whether it be from transportation or just from the needs. And I've participated in several meetings in those communities where the persons, different individuals who have the interest in the programs are asking for such programs in their communities. So this is not just the Gulf Coast or a Council Harding, the actual community is asking for these facilities because they've seen the success at the ones at the Mechanicsville Community Center. The uniqueness of our program is that we offer recreational, educational, and social activities 4 days a week currently. We're probably going to go up to 5 next week, starting next year, correction. So because the seniors have requested 5 days a week because it is so successful at the Mechanicsville Center. But this one will be 5 days a week split, 3 days in Gray, 2 days in Gibson, starting out. What our hope is that we would immediately have an idea of those who would be interested in those communities, if we could possibly have an idea. But what we've seen so far, we started out in Houma, and about 10 or 15 people, and within 6 months, we have almost 40. And when we hit 50, because of COVID, health, and the age and sensitivities, we try to do a waiting list. At this point, we just started a waiting list last week. So we have the ability to grow it. We have been very successful with the parish partnership. We've been able to do this successfully for 4 years and growing and going, and we're looking forward to renewing our contract. The proposed budget, I did a breakdown basically of the program oversight. It would facilitate for 4 staff centers, center staff, which are the actual ones that help the seniors every day with the activities. Administrative support, which is my executive assistant, and the program supervisor, Mrs. Bernadette Smith, who currently is overseeing the program in Mechanicsville right now. So the beginning of the budget talks about salaries for the staff. Then there's supplies, recreational expenses, travel. So the supplies and recreational, we do a lot of activities every single day. We do travel in that if we take them on events, and some of the travel is we purchase their food currently. We support local businesses, so we buy a lot of lunches from TARC. So the funds that come from the parish are recycled in our parish. We buy local meals. We buy from a lot of restaurants. That way it keeps us from having to do the Board of Health processes with the meals and keeping them warm and everything. And we purchase the bags to keep them cold, keep them hot bags, so they're always at healthy temperature. And we serve them breakfast every morning and a full lunch every afternoon. Recently, we made a partnership with the Habitat for Humanity and some of the food truck deliveries that come and bring once a week the cold foods and the non-perishables to the seniors as well, so that they can have additional foods at their homes for those, because most of them are on limited income. So we cover that. We also have we'll take them on outings. So some of the travel, because we don't have transportation provided in this contract, the staff uses their personal vehicles to pick up some of the seniors who say, I want to go on the outings, but I don't have a ride. So my staff currently picks them up, brings them. Like last week for Thanksgiving, we took them to Golden Corral. And it was 45 of them who attended the lunch with their self-made senior center T-shirts. They made them, we taught them how to use the press machines and those type of things. They made their shirts and went out on an outing. And we used our vehicles to make sure that they were there. So that's part of the travel. Lunch and snacks, as I said, we provide daily morning snacks and lunches. And the equipment, it's a small budget because we recently purchased a lot of equipment. And we feel like some of the equipment we have currently at our other facilities, we could share. Example I gave last week was the computers. We purchased 30 laptop computers with the intent of teaching the seniors. We don't want them just sitting and, and not being active. We want them to learn to type, to search the internet, because a lot of their medical services now are electronic. And we want to make sure they're equipped for emergencies, even, that they are equipped and trained to be able to use the services. And so the rest is just overhead expenses for our central office, which is our payroll processing and billing and those type of things, and some of the overhead for our business and our administration that keeps the program running.
Ms. Wesley, Ms. Brown Wesley.
Yes, that's okay.
Yeah, getting accustomed to
That's
it.
okay.
Also, you have a building already, right?
Yes, we do.
And that building was actually, how did you obtain the facility?
The building is actually, for the Gray community, the building is Eagle Right Baptist Church. The pastor of the church participated in a meeting with the Gray Improvement Committee. And in the partnership with the Gray Improvement Committee approaching the local pastor, he said he would love to have such a program in the community. He is offering, they have an annex facility on their church, and he's willing to let us use it at no cost to house the Gray Senior Program. So that's how it came about, is the Gray Improvement Committee actually approached the pastor, and he agreed to offer the church annex building.
Yes, and I'm going to reserve my something later on that, and of course we have
Ms.
the
Brown.
speaker card too.
Please stay at the podium. We're going to have a few questions.
Okay.
And since I do have the light, I want to take a moment, if you guys will give me a little leeway, to recognize a couple people who are in our audience tonight. You heard his name mentioned earlier, our former parish president, Mr. Michel Claudet, who's now Director of Council on Aging. And we also have former councilman, Mr. Wayne Thibodeau, who we'll be hearing from in just a moment on this very issue. So hang tight, Wayne. We're going to get to you, brother. With that, Ms. Jessica Domingue.
Yes, thank you very much. And Ms. Brown, I'm 100% in support of this program. I think this is a wonderful program, and Gulf Coast is already well established in our community. And so you're not really reinventing the wheel here. You already have the foundation, and I love this presentation because it's all laid out here. And you know, I will support my friend, Mr. Carl Harding, in anything that he wants to do in his district, because I think this is just to go and show the passion that he has for the district that he represents and the people in his district. I think this is really wonderful. But I want to tell you a funny story. I was watching a really, really terrible football game yesterday, and there just so happened to be a Gulf Coast commercial that came on, and I got really excited to see that because it highlighted you know, the services that you guys were providing, not only in our area, but in the Orleans Parish area as well. And so I was really excited to see that. And so having you guys on the agenda tonight, it was the only part of yesterday's game that made me smile. So I just wanted to share that with you. So congratulations, and I'm 100% in support of this program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Domingue. Mr. Steve Troclair.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Brown, first off, thanks for everything you do. You know, our seniors are largely forgotten in our society. You know, life moves so fast that you forget to sit back and look. You know, under your standards, I qualify as a senior. I don't think I am, but I qualify.
Come have fun with it.
But my thing is, you made mention, and this is really a pet peeve of mine because it came up once before, you know, with another organization, of a waiting list. And I want to ask you, what's the purpose of the waiting list?
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
You don't have staff, or you don't have facility, or you don't have funding. What's the biggest thing? Because, you know, I don't like to see any, you know, any citizen have to be on a waiting list. Basically, they got to wait for somebody to die for them to get on. That's not a good policy.
Yeah, so the reason we have a waiting list at the time we started it was because COVID was running rampant in the parish. And in order for us to get it back going again, which was last August, we were able to, Candace gave us the okay to go ahead and get it open again, with the understanding that we would have safety protocols in place. We could still do the 6 foot distancing, social distancing. We would make sure that we had all the COVID protocols. To this day, our seniors still, is not required, but many still wear their masks. Many sit 6 feet apart. So in order to accommodate that in the space in the current Mechanicsville facility, we had to go ahead and space everyone out. When you use enough of the room and you space you out 6 foot, you end up with only so many people can fit in the room. So it's not a waiting list as in we don't have the staff or anything like, it's just for safety purposes. But the list we have right now only has 2 people. And what happens, so what we do is we have them, they still can come. You can enroll as a participant, come 2 days and don't come for 3, and you're not bumped off. It's you come as you want to, you come as you need to. And as long as we can keep you safe, 6 feet apart, and make sure you're comfortable, they can continue coming. So right now, when I say waiting list, I meant it's safety first. That's the heart of it. It's for safety first. It's not,
And I totally agree with you. You know, we need to make sure that they're, you know, protected. The Village East, the proposed Village East, will that help you on any of this, get more people involved?
that's what we're hopeful. We would like to see Mechanicsville, Village East, Gibson, Gray. I mean, because it's there are certain little pockets of communities
Right.
that, although in some view it may be close in proximity, but when you think about some of the seniors, everyone doesn't have that transportation as quickly as they needed to get to those facilities. So yes, it would help, because if someone's driving from Village East coming to that community, then yeah. But by putting these facilities all throughout the parish, they can choose. And what we do is you can go to one on Village East today, and tomorrow you can go to Gray. Or you can go, so it's not you're locked in at a facility. It's more, and I love how the parish, in partnership with Gulf Coast, the way we created it, we didn't lock you into your community. It said 60 years of age minimum, Terrebonne Parish resident. By doing it that way, anywhere you go, you can start out Village East and go to Gray on the next day if you desire.
And that's good. I was just concerned with the waiting list, because I definitely,
Oh, yeah.
you know, if it's a money thing, you know, there's a lot of money in the Senior Citizens Fund that, you know, I'm sure we can make arrangements to offset that.
I'll remember that now.
But look, like I said, I qualify as a senior.
Ms.
So-
Sanders was like, what?
So you got my vote, I promise you.
Thank you.
But no, anything we can do to help you.
Thank you.
You know, we stand here, we sit here up front, and I guarantee you, all 8 of us, there'll soon be 9 of us, will be on your side to make sure that we take care of our seniors, because they are like I said earlier, they are lost. They've been lost in the way, you know, with the fast-paced life we're all living in.
Gulf Coast has a lot of programs, but I can honestly say the senior program, I hate to say it out loud, but it's true. It's become one of my passions, because our children in foster care and the seniors. And I believe it was just how I was raised. You care for your seniors. You plant those seeds, and knowing that someday I hope to be one too, and the harvest will be there for me. So that's our heart. Even Gulf Coast's mission is to encourage people to live as independently as they can. And this program would support the Gray and the Gibson communities, as we are already preparing to support Village East and the Mechanicsville and any other area. It will continue to live on. And the parish has proven its support, and we appreciate that. We really do appreciate it.
And thank you. It takes a special person, or it takes special people, you know, to take their time out to tend to the needs of our elderly. So thanks a lot for everything you guys do.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a few more lights. Just for the record, I have one more year before I qualify. Mr. Gerald Michaud.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A couple of things. First of all, I have to respectfully disagree with Councilman Trosclair. I certainly don't think that these seniors have been forgotten in Terrebonne Parish. I think Ms. Diana Edmondson with the Council on Aging saw to it, and I think that now Mr. Michelle Claude is picking up where she left off, and we certainly have not forgotten about the seniors in this parish. Secondly, there was a comment made about transporting seniors in personal vehicles. And I'm a bit concerned about that. That seems like a liability issue for the parish. And unless I misunderstood what was being said, I really would like for Mr. Artigo, the risk manager, the director of risk management for the parish, to have to be made aware of this and have input on this to make sure that this is not causing undue liability for the parish. And one of my concerns with the way the resolution was written is that there is no dollar amount in the resolution. There's no budget in the backup. And that being said, of course, you know, when I'm sitting here behind the screen, I can't tell who's in the audience. I just heard a moment ago that Mr. Claude is in the audience. So I would really like to know what his thoughts are on this particular subject, and if this is something that the Council on Aging can take care of themselves, or are they already servicing these people? You know, what the other implications are from the eyes of the Council on Aging, which is where this money in essence will be coming from. And I realize it's not officially a dedicated millage, but it is money that goes toward the seniors and does have the Council on Aging's name in the millage. So I would certainly like to hear what Mr. Claude has to say about it. So those are my comments on this. and I'm extremely concerned that there's no dollar amounts written in here. I want everybody to be served, and I think everyone needs to be able to express what's missing in their service if they feel something is missing. And let's take a look at it. Let's get it resolved. And getting it resolved might result in contracting with Gulf Coast, or it might result in getting Council on Aging to do something differently, or it might result in a combination of the two. But I think we need to look at more than just one possibility here and get all the input that is necessary. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Michel. And just for the record, we do have in our backup a breakdown on it. I'm not certain.
That's something new because I didn't see it in my back.
You didn't get it, and we can discuss the reasons behind that later. To keep
That's
moving.
okay. I mean, there's some issues because I'm not there in person, and I understand that. But that's fine. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll make sure that you get it, Mr. Michel. Mr. Danny Babin.
Yeah, thank you, John. Somebody said about the elderly. The elderly and the veterans, we need to take care of them more. And I happen to be one of each, okay? So, no, I'm for these types of program, okay? And Carly and I have been discussing this, and Mr. Claudet's name has been mentioned a number of times today. I would hope that this resolution tonight forms an agreement with them and have open up a dialogue between Council on Aging and this agency and the parish to make sure that we can smooth out all the bumps in the road on this.
Yes, sir.
And I think that's where we're going with this, Carly, if I'm correct. And second of all, just a couple of housekeeping things. The Baptist Church,
Yes, sir.
the utilities are going to be paid by the church.
Yes,
The
sir.
liability insurance is going to be paid by the church.
The liability insurance is covered with Gulf Coast.
Okay.
And if I'm not mistaken, a meeting I participated in, and there are representatives, Mr. Thibodeau is part of the Gray Improvement
Right.
Committee, he can speak on it, but I remember at one meeting, they mentioned that the Gray Improvement Committee was even willing to support the utilities expenses. Us not paying, they would cover
got
the
you.
utilities.
And
But
we
Gulf
still-
Coast will cover the
You still don't have a
insurance.
location in Gibson yet.
Not as of
Yeah,
yet,
so
no, sir.
this amount, the dollars that we have here may not be the final amount, because if you find something in the Gibson area that you have to rent a
Correct.
couple days a week, it's gonna increase that cost. That shouldn't be a stumbling block.
It shouldn't, no, sir, and what we're gonna seek first is those other recreational districts. I formed partnerships with some of the recreational districts that have facilities also in Gibson that maybe, and there are many churches that, we would consider reaching out to see if they would have the space to be willing to share. So our first hope would be those that would cost nothing.
Good, well, you've answered all my questions, and like I said, I just hope that we, with this discussion here, that we open up a dialogue with Council on Aging and try to facilitate this as soon as possible.
And Mr. Claudia and I have a really good working relationship as well.
Good,
Yeah.
okay, that's all I have, Carly.
As a presentation that we're actually having to create a particular dialogue, and I actually did a little research, but then to really put it in legal terms, the relationship that we're trying to start here to provide a service for the community. And I would like to have, if you mind, don't mind, sir, Mr. Jules Hebert give the relationship that should be partnering here, and I'd like to hear from Mr. Thibodeau.
You want to let the other speakers speak first, and then I'll clear it all up.
Yeah, because I'm gonna close it out.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. If we have some more questions, we'll call you back up.
No problem.
On speaker cards, we have Mr. Wayne Thibodeau. Mr. Thibodeau, if you'd like to come up to the podium. Please state your name and address for the record, sir.
Yes, sir. Good evening. Wayne Thibodeau. I live at 2603 West Main Street in Gray. And I come tonight as a member and representing the Gray Improvement Committee. Other members with us tonight are Mr. Williams. I'm sorry? I thought somebody said something. Miss Eldrina and Miss Ora. And Councilman Babin, Councilman Harding, Councilman Darren Guidry, Councilperson Domingue, Councilman Dirk Guidry, and Councilman Amity and Councilman Trustclair. I just want to thank y'all for just even considering this matter. So we wanted to say that. And the church has not agreed to pay the utilities, Mr. Councilman Babin. So, I guess that's to be worked out, I guess, in the future. So we've worked hard and had dialogue with the pastor, and the fellowship hall is a large place, and we're looking forward to ultimately this being birthed as a project for the great community. So again, thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Thibodeau. Mr. Dirk Guidry?
Yeah, I commend you guys on doing something for the elderly in this, especially like in the Gibson area. There's nothing in the Gibson area, so we need to bring something to those areas. But Mr. Claude, would you like to say anything? And one question. I know y'all gave us the numbers for this, but it's not really the true numbers without knowing that if we're going to have to rent a place for the Gibson area. So, we need to figure out if the finances that they're asking for is going to be enough to cover it, So, Mr. Claude?
Thank you, Mr. Guidry and members of the council. First off, I didn't see the figures because it wasn't on the website when I looked. What are the figures? How much is it?
You got real fast.
Should be right in front of you.
Can I get a copy? I'll go get this. But I want to mention this. According to the Cooperative Endeavor Agreement, this is why it was kind of surprising. I saw it on the matter, and basically, the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government, prior to spending any of our funds, needs to get with the Council on Aging to get our acquiescence. If there's no acquiescence, it's sent to an Attorney General's opinion at that particular time. I'm more than happy to look at this, but a couple things. One, they're talking about one in Gray. We have a center already at the center right by St. Bridget's Church. And we also had a center in Gibson at Divine Keller, which didn't have many people participating. Now, quite honestly, I heard the comments, and we can't bring our people to the Golden Corral or go and get these meals from restaurants because they have to have a low sodium, and their diets have to be monitored by a dietitian. And we work towards programs, and we have programs all the time with them. And, there's exercise programs, all kinds of things we do. Right now, we even have mental health counseling at the centers for the people who went through Hurricane Ida and the pandemic and a number of other things. It's correct. I have had a good relationship with the Gulf Coast, and I had spoken with them about the Mechanicville project, and actually we were approached to go look at it in order to possibly run it. But I went there, and I was called, and they indicated they wanted to maintain it, and I said, well, look, that's fine. I'm not going to touch that. But this is a little different. This is something that's new, and according to the call of the election, any operations of services are to be performed by the Council on Aging, and that's what's the actuality. So we really want to take a look at it before we give our consent or not. Your motion, according to what I read in the packet, was that you're just voting today as to whether or not it will come and discuss it with us. And if we don't approve it, then they get an Attorney General's opinion, if that's the case. So, please approve what you want to approve, but it's still got to come to us before it goes any further. Thank you.
So, Mr. Corley, you're going to set up a deal to meet with Mr. Claude and
They're going to have to.
Yeah, actually, when this scenario came out, because oftentimes I go and I have a passion for the great people because, they are very, very active. When they ask for something, they're persistent about what they're asking for, and they participate. So even though, we can get some people that can automatically assume and say why we want something here, other people may say, why not? I think Ms. Wesley Brown made a point here, is the fact that there are certain pockets and areas that are created in our communities. And it's one of the things. Of course, transportation is a problem. And then they don't have the funds. They don't have the resources. And sometimes it's about culture. You know, we look at a mother that actually have children. And that mother have different children. And that's just like government. Government and a woman that has children, and she has several children, each one of those children have different needs. And this, if we trying to actually supply the needs toward the people that are requesting them, it's not that, and I can understand, situation may change. There are a lot of houses that are dilapidated in the Gibson area. In the Gibson area, I know Devon Kelly, and this one thing about this, it says pilot program. The interesting part about this is it's up to the people of their request. My job is to actually put it out there for them and give them the opportunity and be a voice for them. I actually had opposition to start off with this, with certain implications that was unnecessary, because we draw lines and we're not talking about conversation, because at times people would actually take a situation like that, and wonderful presentation. But when you boil down and not looking at the needs of those people, I myself am a veteran. I myself is in the elderly. I don't mind a conversation with Mr. Michel. Because Michel Claudet. But the thing about that is that this is an opportunity, and just like Mr. Thibodeau said, he appreciates that. This conversation was not being held. You know, I've been all over the parish, and with Mr. Pulaski and the research, in every community that we went, he said, why are we left out? Every community saying, why are we left out? And that's the point we were trying to do, because each one have a passion of their culture from the environment they're in. Nothing wrong. We're already there, and we're trying to work it out. We're trying to work it out.
Can I mention one thing? Mm-hmm. First off, I want you to know Mr. Harding is very good with the Council on Aging. He used to work there years ago. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we ended up where we took some pictures recently, went on the route, and all the people saying, oh, Corley, how you doing? We're so happy to see you. He had worked there for a while, bringing them Meals on Wheels or home-delivered meals. So we really appreciate Mr. Harding. And look, we want to go ahead and work with the seniors. My job is to get all these waiting lists we had. They're down to practically zero. We're having trouble with a lot of them. Where we're having problems with, and I'll tell you what it is, Mr. Trosclair, is getting the services to provide the homemaker care for the meals. I mean, you go to every senior and they all want their home clean, their house clean, and I bet you probably would too if you had a chance. And they also want personal care where they can get themselves bathed and a lot of other things. And we're getting that down, but we're having trouble getting the services to provide that. And so we're working on that. But I promise you this, we'll work with Mr. Harding, and it doesn't bother me if you approve this resolution the way it's written, because quite honestly, they have to come and visit with us after that.
And I'm looking forward to that, because, you know, these folk, they really want it. And really, we have condensed area, highly populated, and really close proximity in a high traffic traveling area. So, you know what I mean, and all of these ladies don't drive. Oftentimes, I see 7, 8, 9, 10 come to our council meeting. Somebody else is driving them. And so the closer it is to their homes, I think that's what the issue that is saying right now. That's a lot of dialogue, and I think my personality and something that happened in reference to this particular topic. I'm just cutting back off it. We've reached that point where we're going to create a dialogue.
Well, please remember too, we provide transportation. We bring people from Gibson out every day to our Schriever Center. And we provide people to transport to the senior center in Schriever all the time. Mm-hmm. And so we could certainly add a number of people, and we have all the programs already there. So I just want you to know that. So thank you. I appreciate it. Unless somebody has a question to me.
No, the only thing I see, Michelle, is for you and Mr. Corley Harding and whoever he decides to bring with you, if it's the Gulf Coast or whatever, y'all sit down and have an open dialogue with him.
More than happy to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Claudet.
Oh, I need a copy.
Mr. Eberry, you have something to add?
Yes. Let me explain the whole situation if I can. And I'm not going to get into the whole lawsuit, but as you know, we had an extensive lawsuit with Council on Aging, and we reached an agreement with them. And I do dispute some of the interpretations by Mr. Cloday. But with that said, there is, and I asked Candace, based upon the millage that was collected, the millage is for use for the elderly and disabled. That's number one. Number two, Council on Aging does not have an exclusive right to provide for the elderly and disabled in Terrebonne Parish. This millage is passed for the use of the elderly and disabled. Number three, Candace tells me above and beyond the requirements of our agreement, there is an excess of over at least $3.5 million that is sitting there to be used. Okay? He's asking for approximately $200,000. Now, let's take the program that was formed in McCangerville. That program was based upon, the parish is not running that program. The parish is agreed to put up where you had a councilman that said, hey, I want to hire Gulf Coast Services, and you got to understand what Gulf Coast does. They're a nonprofit corporation that comes in and provides these type of services for the disabled and the elderly. So what we did is we entered an agreement with Gulf Coast to put up money for them to perform services for the elderly and disabled in McCanningville. And all the things that were asked are covered, or we will cover. Okay, for example, insurance, obviously, we would make sure that they have their insurance. There is what they call hard non-owned, but the Gulf Coast, I can tell you, they have the insurance. But they are putting on this program. The parish is not putting it on. We're justifying the dollars saying, hey, we're going to put up a couple $100,000 because the services they're providing will equal to the benefit, the money that we're putting up. So that could all be worked out in a cooperative endeavor agreement, which is already being done. With regards to the Council on Aging money, I want to bring up another thing. During Mr. Cloday's administration, when he was parish president, he came to the council and got money for the Academy Apartments that went to the Volunteers of America. He came and asked and went to the Council on Aging and got them to put up money, which is basically a loan. That's a parish building. And they entered into a series of agreements, leases and agreements. So the millage put up over millions of dollars for housing. That's really not what the Council on Aging does. And I can tell you, exhaustively, and I don't want to get into
Mr. We're not going to get into all of that. I mean,
but
this
I'm just
discussion
saying,
is going on long enough. I mean,
I'm just saying.
I'd like to bring it to a vote.
I'm just telling you, so I just want to bring up it is legal. Paragraph 9 does state that they do have to, that the parish does have to go to the Council on Aging, and if it meets the requirements of the millage, to ask them to consent to the use of the money. That was part of the agreement. All right. So, and if they don't, then we go to the Attorney General.
Right.
And in number 11, I just want to put by comparable on the record that when we settled the case, I don't know how they would object to it, the Council on Aging, to this program, because it's basically the same program as Mechanicsville, and they agreed in the settlement, in paragraph 11 of the settlement, that the Mechanicsville program was a legitimate use of the elderly and disabled money. So, in my opinion, this program meets the requirements of the millage. It can be used, and the only thing that needs to be done further is we have to go. They'll have to go meet with Mr. Candace. Have to meet Mr. Cloday, get their, see if they'll consent, and then we will draft a CEA between Gulf Coast and the parish to provide the money, and I'll ensure to make sure that the safeguards are there protecting the parish. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Darren Guidry.
Yes, and you know, as a council person, if we hear a need in the community, and that need needs to be addressed, in this particular case, three things could happen. The community could go directly to Terrebonne Council on Aging, work out something, get the program funded and done. The community can go to the parish president puts in his budget, and then goes to the Council on Aging, and the program gets done. Or you can go through a council person, but a council person can't request something from the Council on Aging without a resolution. So that council person comes to us with a resolution to get 5 council people to support his effort to go to the Council on Aging to see about getting this program. And so that's the method that we're in. Of course, there's 2 other avenues we could take, but I support my councilman, Mr. Carl Harding. This is the path that he took. It's still going to go to the Council on Aging. It could have been 2 different paths. But I am going to support his efforts. I'm going to support the community. Of course, this also serves Gibson, which is also part of the community that I currently represent. And so if the community has a need, let's ask the Council on Aging. The only way we can do that as a council member is with a resolution, and that's what Mr. Harding has put, and I'm going to support Mr. Harding in his effort to bring this to the Council on Aging. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Chairman.
Mr. Guidry. You ready to close? All right, it's on you, Carly.
I knew it was going to be opposition. And the dynamics, not really opposition, but then there was going to be some dialogue to there, because when I speak to these people, I speak realistically to these people when they come forward to the effort, because just like any other area in Terrebonne Parish, and like I said earlier, a lot of people think they are left out. But then when they come for a service and I see the area and I have a passion for the area, they're not asking for something that they don't need. They're not asking for something they're not going to participate in. So I think we've actually gotten to the point, we've talked too much about it, and we're going to move right along, because we've actually made the agreement to sit down and talk, and hopefully the services that these folk want, and they understand that numbers do count. We're asking for it, we provide it, and that's what we got to do. If they don't hold up to their end of the bargain by participating, because I know Ms. Wesley Brown is going to do her job. She's one of the best probably on the universe, because if you listen to that presentation here, she has a passion for it, and that's all we need. A lot of things. Nothing against the Council on Aging. And then maybe other avenues that the Council on Aging, that in the dialogue that we are having as consolidated government, because I get tired of arguing and bickering about the needs and the people of this parish. And if we see a need, we ought to supply the need. We ought to take care of the needs of the people. I'm not, you know what I mean, I prefer a peace over war. I prefer people over politics. And I don't want to make this that, because, you know, that's not the way to go. And I love this parish. I love the people that's here. You know what I mean? And, you know what I mean? And like I said, you know, that's a thing said. But they honestly, I would prefer people to sit down and honestly say what they got to say and get it out the way. This is a dialogue that people don't want to say. Yeah, it's a difference between Shreveport and Gray. It is. And I'm not going to put that away from the table, because that is a discussion, and I want everybody's full support for this. But you got to understand, both sides have feelings. And at the end of the day, let's take care of the seniors like me and Danny and the veterans. Thank y'all very much.
And Mr. Harding, we appreciate your passion as always. So with no more discussion, we have a motion by Mr. Trosclair and a second by Ms. Domingue. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. I give the chair back to Mr. Harding.
Number 5, resolution awarding an authorization and signing of a construction contract to the firm Southern Synergy LLC for parish project number 20, roads -54 pavement marking project phase 1B, Terrebonne Parish, Louisiana, and authorizing the insurance of the notice to proceed and commence the construction of said project. Moved by Mr. Danny Babbins, second by Ms. Domain. Yeah, I got a light. Okay. I had a question too. I'm trying to get to the question. All right, Mr. Dirk Guidry.
Can anybody tell me which roads are going to get striped? Because I kind of looked in the backup. I didn't see nothing in the backup about what particular roads are going to get striped.
Mr. Guidry, I received a copy of the roads this afternoon because I asked Ms. Bray the same exact question at staff. I received it, and if the council wants, I can forward to each and every one of you.
Well, I mean, you know, so I just wanted to, you know, before we vote, I wanted to know what roads that we were doing.
This was from the recommendation of our Roads and Bridges Department.
Well, I just wanted to know which roads it was, Mike.
I will send it to you first thing tomorrow
I wanted to know if some of
morning.
my roads are gonna get striped, is what I'm asking, you know what I mean?
Yes,
I don't
sir.
need them striped, I need them replaced.
Yeah. David has a copy.
No, if it's that much, David, you can just send it to me, you know what I mean? I just needed to know which roads, because in our backup, it was just prices of how much per linear foot and all this, you know, and I didn't know which roads were gonna get striped. So I figured I'd just ask that question. Send it to me, David, if you don't mind, please.
Mr. Darren Guidry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I called David and asked him the very same thing. I think I actually caught him probably at the doctor's office, but he did mention 3 roads that he knew off the top of his head, and I will mention those. And that was Woodlawn Ranch Road, which I know you've been needing desperately, as well as Councilman Navy. Val High Boulevard, the other part, and St. Louis Canal Road was 3 that he remembered off the top of his head. He said there's a whole bunch, but he remembered those 3, and so I'll mention those. Thanks.
Yeah, and that was basically my same question, because I'm looking at the backup and we're looking at numbers and we don't see roads. And generally, you know, we don't know if you're putting triple stripes down and that only covers 5 miles, you know what I mean? Because it's priced per foot in some areas and the 6 foot, the 6 inches wide or something like that, 12 inch wide. So that was the concern of mine, is where they were and how much what we were having down there to be covered. Mr. Babin, please. Thank you, ladies. And
Yeah,
Mr.
I agree with Dirk. I would like to have seen it before, because I just want to make sure that this is evenly distributed amongst all 9 of the council districts, because every one of us needs striping on our roads, okay? Especially those of us that have the down the by, we always say down the by, but the highways, okay? So, David, I know when you forward it tomorrow, you'll forward it to everybody.
You have Mr. Dirk Guidry.
In particular, you know, Steve's Country Drive and the Shrimpers Row, where there's so much, well, Danny's gonna have that much, but on Country Drive, with the conditions of that road, you need to know where the middle of that road is. So, and I know it's kind of hard to go spend money striping a road that's getting tore up every day, but there needs to be some kind of markings on that road to prevent a head-on collision. So, yeah, we just need to know it. David, please send it to us. If you don't send it to, you're gonna send it to all the council, right?
Just one quick.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Mr. Babin.
David, I hate to put you on the spot, but is Country Drive and Shrimpers Row and those roads like that on that list?
I'm just going to read the list real quick.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you, David. That's better.
We have Eastwood Lawn Ranch Road from 56 to 57. We have Main Project Road, Enterprise Drive. That's Corporate Drive to West Side Boulevard. And then we have Enterprise Drive, Corporate Drive to MLK, and then Main Street to MLK, all Enterprise Drive. Equity Boulevard, Alma Street from Monarch to North Hollywood, Polk Street, Tunnel Boulevard to the dead end, Verrett Street, West Woodlawn Ranch Road, Klondike Road, Thompson Road, Hobson Street, Corporate Drive, again, Corporate from Tunnel to Hollywood, Denley Road, Dixon Road, Bobtown Bridge Road, Johnson Ridge Lane, Klondike Road, Livis Lane, and we have some alternatives on there depending on what it is. The reason why this was not included with the backup is it is a per price item bid. So I can take this, throw in the garbage can tomorrow, and this is not what's submitted to the contractor. This is what our recommendation currently is. So as y'all know, all of our projects are pretty fluid, and we've tried tailor making to make the most bang for our buck, and that's what we're doing with this. So if that road, for instance, Country Drive was not put on there simply because of the delays that it would cause in order to the current traffic situation that's going on over there. Same thing with Shrimpers Row. If striping causes a thing,
We would prefer to do that outside of this project. So one, we're not paying extra for them to work around the traffic days, stripe at night or something like that. That's always down the line for one of the alternatives. Okay?
Well, and I can appreciate that, but as we said earlier, we talking 4 to 6 years. We talking as long on Country Drive. I'm not asking for a priority, but there should be some kind of priority.
No, absolutely.
The roads are literally falling apart, and we asking to have them repaired and also striped.
All the more reason not to lump it together with all of these.
Okay, all right. I mean, we trust your opinion on all this, David. Really.
Appreciate that.
All right.
Any more discussion? And finally, I think with the lighting situation we have in some of these guys' areas that are out there, I think that striping and the focus point, if people traveling at night, it'd be something great to have them other than being out there in the dark with a light, with a road without any stripes on it. So hopefully this can assist the safety factor until we get all those lights put up around Terrebonne Parish that we need to put up. So thank you very much, Mr. Rome. Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried. Item number 6, resolution concurring with the parish administration to purchase mobile portable radios through the Louisiana State contract from Motorola Solution for the Homo Police Department. Moved by Ms. Doman, second by Mr. Dirk Guidry. Any discussion? I mean, not Dirk Guidry, Mr. Danny Babin. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried. Item number 7, concurring with the parish administration to purchase from Louisiana State Contract 14 new unused police pursuit SUVs from Southland Dodge for the Homo Police Department. Moved by Mr. Darren Guidry, second by Ms. Domingue. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Item number 8, a resolution concurring with the parish administration to award bid number 22-ITD-60 purchase of Microsoft Office 365 E3 yearly subscription for various parish departments to the lowest qualified bidder, Go Full Clouds. Moved by Ms. Dorman, second by Mr. Darren Guidry. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Item number 9, resolution declaring copy service CPUs, roll-up doors, typewriters, and other various departments/divisions having a value of $5,000 or less as surplus, and authorizing said items to be disposed of by any legally approved method. Moved by Mr. Darren Guidry, second by Mr. Dirk Guidry. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried. Number 10, introducing an ordinance to declare a vehicle from the Housing and Human Service and the excavator from the Forest Drainage Department as surplus, and authorizing said items to be disposed of by any legal approved method, and call for a public hearing on Wednesday, December 14, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. Moved by Ms. Dorman, second by Mr. Dirk Guidry. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Item number 7, introducing the ordinance to amend the 2022 adopted operating budget and 5-year capital outlay budget in the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for the following items, and to provide for related matters. Number 1, Bayou Sports Park road lights, $100,000. Funderburg Bridge expansion, $375,000. Homo Police Department, $14,492. Fargo Canal Marsh Management Program, $47,737. Bayou Country Sports Park, $2,984,000. 4,000? 4,000. Bayou Sports Complex, $2,984,000. Correct. Thank you. This next one would be number 6. Bayou Terrebonne Locks Pump Station, $5 million. Number 7, 5% budget adjustments for Parish Prisoners Fund, $40,000. Number 8, 5% budget adjustment for road district number 6, O&M, $6,586. Item number 9, 5% budget adjustment for road lighting district number 1, $3,023. Number 10, 5% budget adjustment for road lighting district number 6, $7,500. Item number 11, 5% budget adjustment for the criminal court, $0, and call for a public hearing on Wednesday, December 14, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. Moved by Mr. Darren Gidrich, second by Ms. Jessica Domingue. Ms. Domingue.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Ms. Malden, I called you earlier about this, but then I found it, so I just want to clarify. The $2,984,000 for Bayou Country Sports Packs, that's state capital outlay, correct? Okay, all right, thank you.
Mr. Babin.
Yeah, and I realize that's capital outlay money, but maybe for the Wednesday meeting on December the 14th, could we possibly have exactly how much we've put towards the park this year and how much revenue the park has derived? That's it, thank you.
Any more discussion? Mr. Steve Tresclair.
Yeah, Ken, that's on the Road District 6, operation and maintenance, $6,586. What is that?
So we are required every year by state law to be within 5% favorable variance. This one, their millage collections, even though we reduced it by 5% when we did the budget, was still less than what it was. So we have to adjust for that because we're collecting less than what we had budgeted. But they're still, in the fund balance, they're still there to cover it. The expenses are still the same.
Okay, thanks.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried. Item number 12. To review the 2023 proposed budget and the following departments/agencies. Ms. Malden, you on.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So we are going to start tonight. Just a reminder, too, this is the last budget hearings that we have. So at the next Monday meeting, we'll vote for any changes that we've discussed throughout the process, and it will be formally adopted, hopefully Wednesday, December 14th. So just letting y'all know where we are in this process. So tonight we're going to start with the Terrebonne Parish Library, which we have in our miscellaneous section because we do collect their sales tax on their behalf and then distribute it to them. So for 2023, their sales tax are estimated to be $5.8 million, which is an increase of $200,000. Then we'll go to our elderly housing millage. It is on page 174, I think is where we'll read. So we have a 7.5 mil ad valorem tax that was approved by the voters November 16th, 2013. It is estimated to generate $7.4 million in 2023. It was mentioned earlier, but Terrebonne Parish has the CEA with Council on Aging to provide services to the elderly and disabled, and for 2023, that is estimated to be about the $7.5 million. TCOA does adopt an independent budget that comes to this council for approval while we are working on the millage levy approvals. So we'll have them come back early next year to discuss the following year's budget. We also have in 2023 the $150,000 for elderly programs at the Mechanicville Community Center. We will now go over to the district attorney, which is going to be page 68. And we'll look actually on page 69, their budget highlights. Their request is to adopt one assistant district attorney. Not adopt, add one assistant district attorney. I knew that didn't sound right. Next is going to be the clerk of court, which is going to be on the following page. The budget highlights is a capital request of $26,770. This includes a map imager and printer and a server. Then we'll go to the criminal court fund, which is on page 196. We have fines and forfeiture revenue is $2.5 million for 2023. We do have a general fund supplement of $3.3 million, which is an increase of about 1.75 from the prior year. Juvenile detention supplement of $250,000, which is the same as 2022. And we do have the mental health and drug abuse fund supplement, $47,514. Next, we'll go to our parish jail. And this is going to be on page 131. We have an agreement between the parish government and the sheriff of Terrebonne Parish for the maintenance and operation of the jails. The parish government agrees to pay $12.61 per diem for the maintenance of non-DOC prisoners, and the sheriff shall share with the parish 50% of the DOC reimbursements. In addition, the sheriff agrees to make the continuous good faith effort to maintain a total DOC prisoner population of 200 inmates. So for 2023, the parish is estimating to receive $715,000 from the sheriff of Terrebonne, which is a decrease. And then we had some general fund supplements, which will be $3,765,000, which is the same as 2022. So if you look on page 131, this is going to be the actual parish prisoners department. So the parish reimburses the sheriff for the feeding of the prisoners based on a flat formula of $1.75 per day for DOC prisoners and $12.61 per day for all others. The projected cost for 2023 is $2 million, which is based on an average prison population of 650. And then if you flip over to page 133, this is actually going to be the prisoners' medical department. So the parish currently contracts the Haydell Clinic for physician's care at $90,000 per year. With the inclusion of dental care, ambulance, and hospital care, the medical services are estimated for 2023 at $170,000, and the prescriptions and over-the-counter medications at $154,700. And then if we go to the economic development, which is going to be on page 111. So we'll look at page 112. So we have some budget highlights here. We have South Central Planning Commission. We have $42,000 for regional membership. We have $40,000 for the local match for the Urban System Grant Administration. We will allocate $625,000 to TITA for 2023, and this is an increase of $75,000 from the current year. And we have $15,000 that is going to the African American Museum, this is the same as 2022. We also have a separate budget in the back on page 342 for TITA.
Mr. Babin.
Yeah, Candace, on the museum, did we actually use that last year? Because, I mean, they've been out since the storm.
So we have used it. Okay. They have used it to do some mobile exhibits. Okay. And we have worked with them to try to get some money for their improvements and stuff as well. But they've done some mobile exhibits.
Yeah, I was just wondering if there was a carryover that could go into the next year.
Right.
If they didn't use it. Right. Okay, thank you.
And not only that, of course, we look at the percentages. We're looking at 32.71% less.
Yes, sir. And that is because in this fund, in this department, we have the Homa Downtown Development Corporation funding, but we do not include it in our budget until we actually have the signed agreements and the money from the states, because it's not a guarantee. Mm-hmm. So what you see in 2022's budget is what was collected both for these budget highlights as well as the Downtown Development Corporation. Early in 2023, when we start receiving that funding from the state hotel motel tax, we'll go ahead and do a budget amendment to include it.
Okay.
Next is going to be Public Works Engineering, which is page 100, and there are no significant changes to this department. Then we will go over to the federal transit grants and the City of Thibodaux and the Federal Highway Administration. So these start on page 203. We have Fund 237, which has no significant changes. So that is the HOMA Transit. 238, which is the City of Thibodaux Transit, they have no significant changes. And then our Fund 240, the Rural Transit, it has no significant changes as well. Then we'll go to our Parish Transportation Fund, which is going to be on page 156. So this is revenues are subject to the annual state appropriation. So therefore, $600,000 is estimated through the state's fiscal year end of June 30th, 2023. Direct services for street repairs is $990,502, and this is based on the estimated 2023 revenue through June 30th and any unallocated fund balance at December 31st, 2022. Next is going to be your Road and Bridge Fund, page 158. So we have a quarter-cent sales tax for this division that was approved by the voters. The 2023 collections are estimated at around $7.7 million, which is a 13.86% increase from 2021, and actual collections in the same as the 2022 projected. We have no general fund supplements for Road and Bridge in 2023. We have some major operating expenditures. Our gasoline and oil is $125,000. Shells is $250,000. Urban streetlights is $168,320. And we do have street repairs of a little over $2 million, which is an increase of about $466,000. The total capital request is about $1.2 million, and this includes some various bridge works to the Pontoon Bridge, Brady Road Bridge, Compound Bridge. We're going to have a new copy machine, some additional software, and some restroom renovations as part of our capital expenditures. Next is our Drainage Tax Fund. We're going to look on page 162. This, again, is a quarter-cent sales tax that is used to fund this division. It is the same $7.7 million expected collections. Our Drainage Fund also receives an ad valorem tax, which is a 7.15 mils, which is estimated to generate about $7.1 million for 2023. Some major expenditures, other contracts is $1.2 million. Gasoline and oil is $350,000. Diesel and pumps is about $1.2 million. Pump repairs is $650,000. Contractors repairs is $1 million, which is an increase of about $600,000. Canal and lateral ditch maintenance is $120,000. Collection canal cleaning is $20,000. Permit monitoring is $46,000. We do have a capital request of $2,575,000, which includes 2 tandem axle dump trucks, which is $175,000 each, a vacuum truck, some additional telemetry expenses, various projects, portable generators, additional pumps, as well as some office furniture for the new building that is being built.
Mr. Babin.
Yeah, just out of curiosity, contractors repair $1 million, an increase of $600,000. What?
I believe that is for some just additional pump repairs that don't necessarily fit into a capital expense, as well as any small projects that can be done through the drainage department that don't have to go through a capital expense.
Okay, but when you use contract, is it an outside contractor or Terrebonne Parish Consolidated?
It'll be an outside contractor based on a procurement and a bid process that's selected.
I have something too, maybe David. We usually call you for lateral ditches and stuff like that. Does this associate with a particular area? I'm looking at the same as 2022, and I'm just saying, just parish-wide. All right, thank you. Ms. Malden.
Yes, sir. So we'll move on to our pollution control. And if you look on page 223, our sewer collections for 2023 are estimated at $7,190,500. So then on the next page is our sewage collection department with our major expenditures of utility cost of $445,000. We do have 2.25% collection fee of all sewage revenue collected by Waterworks, $160,000. Sewer pump repairs, $80,000. Contractor repairs, $180,000. And we have one request to add one Field Tech 2, grade 104. On page 227 is our treatment plant, and this has a capital request of $3,625,000. This is for some north treatment plant improvements, to dredge pond number 13, some south treatment plant levee repair, and Fairlane Pond closure. On page 229 is the administration for the pollution control, and the request here is to add one admin coordinator 1, grade 104. And then on page 231 is the sewage capital additions. The request is for $269,000, which includes through fourth ton HD pickup with long bed, a quick hookup for generators, as well as some sewer rehabilitation. And if we go to our fleet maintenance fund, this is going to be on page 263. The major fund source for this fund is $1,098,940, and it is made up of user fee charges to other departments. We have a couple of personnel requests. Add one mechanic 2, grade 106, eliminate one mechanic 1, grade 105, and a capital request of $100,000 to replace pumps at the fuel docks. And then last we have our capital projects. So if you look on page 282, this is a summary of what we have current and what we are proposing in 2023. So we're proposing to add $3,108,961 to our capital projects. That includes the Bayou Terrebonne pump station, which we refer to a lot as the Shell Oil property, of $908,961. The D18 pump station replacement of $1.4 million, and this is our capital outlay match. Pontoon and Chauvin Bridge of $700,000, and a Hollywood Road roundabout $100,000. That's it.
Thank you very much. Motion to carry on.
We need to make a motion to continue.
Continue?
Yes.
Ms. Carry on. All right, motion by Mr. Danny Babbitt, second by Mr. Doug Guidry. All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried. Item number 13, introducing the ordinance to adopt the 2023 operation and maintenance budget and the 5-year capital outlay improvement budget of Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government as presented by the parish president, and further amended by the Terrebonne Parish Council to amend the parish compensation plan for new and or adjusted positions to approve a 2% cost of living increase for the parish president's departments and council staff, and to address other matters related thereto, and call for a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, December 14th, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. Moved by Ms. Doman, second by Mr. Amadi. Any discussion? All in favor? Item number 7, motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn by Ms. Doman, second by Mr. Darren Guidry. All in favor? Aye. Say aye. Thank you. What's up, man?